I look after the sales team at Arlo, and I'll be taking us through this next sort of half hour of this session. So I'm based out of our London office in the UK here, and running the team from there. So let's get cracking. So a bit of an agenda before we start. So first of all, we'll spend some time covering just setting the scene a little bit. So what do instructor-led training providers use? What are they looking for? What does a connected system look like? And then we'll spend most of the time actually going through the product itself. And then there'll be some time for questions at the end. So please do ping in your questions throughout the call. Otherwise, you might forget your question at the end, and we'll get through as many as we can, depending on how much time we have at the session. There'll also be a link to book a further call if you don't get your questions answered. There'll be a little QR code that you can scan as well. So without further ado, let's get going. So to start us off, running instructor-led training is hard. And this is what we hear from all of our customers. And all of our customers at Arlo do instructor-led training. Now, it may be in blended format, it may be live online, but they all do it. And so it's hard, enjoyable work, but hard. It's difficult. There's a lot of moving parts in this process that can be hard to all coordinate. So from the learner perspective, they have a nice, easy workflow, right? They like find the course, or they're sent on the course, or the company sends them on the course. They register, they attend, they get their certification, and they're good to go, right? Easy peasy. But in the background, there's actually a whole host of processes and legwork that goes into running an instructor-led training. And a lot of these things may resonate with the audience that we have on today. But even if we look at something as simple as scheduling the course, you've got to find out, is a trainer available? Is the trainer suitable? Is the venue open? How big's the venue? What's my capacity on the course? How are they going to get there? How am I going to take the booking? And that just gets more and more sophisticated and complicated the more training that you run. And so you're juggling lots of different parts to ensure a smooth learner experience on the front end. And if these pieces of the pie here, the pieces of the puzzle, if they're fragmented, if they're not talking to each other, if they're not smooth, then the admin and legwork into running your operations can become a bit of a nightmare. And this legwork only gets more intensive as you grow. So as you schedule more courses, or maybe launch more programs, or maybe offer, hybrid sort of B2C and B2B functions, your admin overhead is just going to grow and grow and grow. And what we find is a lot of training providers we speak to, they don't aim for fragmented processes, but they're sort of victims of their own success. Their businesses and their processes have outgrown the technology stack that they're using, or whatever technology processes they have in place to manage their training. They're sort of victims, as I say, of their own success. And so what does that mean for the business? So this fragmentation, we know instructor-led training is hard, but this fragmentation of processes does actually have a cost to the business that potentially are not really that visible or are hard to articulate. And we've sort of put these into three main categories here. You've got your margin leaks. So these are looking at the idea that your manual processes are free to run. They're not free to run. Nothing in this world is free, right? So even checking your spreadsheet, sending a manual email, processing, a booking manually, sending a certificate, none of those processes are actually free to use. You've got your time that you're investing, you've got potential manual input errors, you've also got, discoordination potentially with other parts of your operation. So manual processes may look free on the surface, but they are costing a business. It's just that cost is very, very difficult to quantify unless you're tracking the time that you're spending everywhere. The other thing we see is in terms of the future state, so the growth. The idea that your current systems are good enough. So have a think about, when you have a really, really busy month, I know we're in summer at the moment, so things are cooling off a little bit, but when you have a really busy month, what tends to fall through the cracks? Is it communication? Is it certificates? Do you have a ceiling in terms of bookings you can process? And the training providers that we speak to are not just thinking about what's good enough now. They're trying to think about what's good enough in 2 years. If my scale doubles, will my current system break? Are my systems good enough? And typically the answer to this question is no. You really want to be thinking about what's 2, 3, 5 years down the track. What do I need in that state for my business? And then finally, and the most important for me really, is the learner experience. So the learners are critical to any training operation, right? Because they're going to talk about how awesome your training is, how impactful it was. And if they're not repeat business, then they'll tell other people to come take your training, right? So the learner experience is critical. And any really impact, delayed communication, chasing certificates, things that aren't super smooth, that is going to impact on their learner experience in ways that you may not actually see. And so that is another piece of the pie that you need to monitor. But there is a better way, right? There is a better way. So, and this is bringing it all into one roof. So, with a system like Arlo. So, one workspace, one connected ecosystem where everything is sitting together. There's no fragmentation. You've got all of your stakeholders under one roof, all of your data under one roof. Your back office is there. And from one single platform, you can deliver, run, and grow your trading and integrate with other platforms if need be. So, think about something like your metrics, right? If that all data is sitting in a spreadsheet, very difficult for you to drive any live insights. Where if it's living in an actual live database, you can run reports and you can get actually an understanding of what's going on in your training, what's your busiest course, what's your capacity like. Very difficult to get those insights if data is sitting behind the scenes. But, I'm the head of sales, right? My job is to sell as much software as possible. So obviously I'm going to tell you that Arlo is going to solve all your problems. But you don't have to just take it from me. We do have lots of testimonials and case studies on our website at arlo.co that have our customers on there talking about how Arlo has revolutionized their business. So, on average, we're looking at saving 30 minutes per booking, growing your volume, and reducing your manual admin. And these are some aggregates that we've got from our customer base. And there's a couple of UK training providers here. So Tammy, uh, she was able to grow her business by four times the volume on our platform, and she's doing some really awesome training in the corrections department. And we've got Sean here, who has managed to grow his bookings by 25% and actually grow two brands with the Arlo platform as well. And from Sean, Arlo has elevated the whole brand because everything is automated. So, don't just take it from me. There are testimonials on our website, and you can jump into some evidence we have of actually Arlo making a real difference for a lot of training providers. So we'll jump into the live demo now, and we'll go from there. So keep those questions coming. I can see some coming in, which is awesome. And so we'll go from here. All right. So we start on the dashboard here. So the dashboard has an overview of everything that's going on across your Arlo platform. You can see all of your courses. You can see your registrations. You can see your orders or your financial componentry that's coming through. And you can see any tasks that you have to do in your CRM, call this client or follow up this booking or whatever it may be. So the dashboard represents an overview of everything that's going on across your organization. And then we can go into the courses themselves. So all of the UI across Arlo is consistent in terms of these dashboard pages, meaning that once you learn how to use one page, you can use them all. They all have the KPIs at the top here that you can click through and it shows you everything that's going on. You've got your filters down the left-hand side and all of your courses that are scheduled here too. So if you go into a course, we can see a little bit more information about the course itself. So this is an open course that we're running, but a lot of our customers do run B2B courses, which we'll cover in a moment. But at the course page here, you have your tasks that are due. You can see all of your registrations. You can see any notes that have been put in there, and you can see all the metadata around the course itself. So, we can see the registration link. We can have a look on the website. We can see the venue, which presenter is running it, all the key information about what's going on in the course. At the top here, you have all of your tasks or your toolbars that you can run as well. So if you want to send out certificates, certificates can be automated based on some triggers. But if you wanted to send them out manually, one click and that will send them all out. If you want to do a manual trigger. You can also add some tasks. You can run some reports on here, attach some documents. You can see all the communication that comes from our system as well. So, for example, this could be anything from welcome instructions or reminders or follow-up or the order instructions, anything like that. You can actually click into the email to see what it looks like for the person, the recipient. That'll come along with the calendar appointment, and all the branding would be, matching with your branding. The email would come from you. So it's not going to look like it's coming from Arlo. It would look like it's coming from you, but we would be doing all the heavy lifting in the background. So we've got over, I think, 60 or 70 templated emails in the system for various different purposes. So you're able to actually automate a huge swaths of emails throughout the system. You can also jump onto the registrations and see who's here. So if we jump on Felicity's record here, we can see any special information that they provided. We also support custom fields, so you can capture whatever data you like. And there's lots of really smart functionality here too. So think about a transfer, right? Transferring someone, they call you up, hey, I can't do tomorrow, can you transfer me? If you're doing that manually, you have to go into the record, cancel, find a new course, enroll them. Here, Arlo just picks up the record and puts it into another course for you. Really easy. Now, on the front end, so we can have a look at what this page looks like, Arlo is able to integrate with your website. We either offer a website out of the box that you can use from day one. It's called the Arlo website. So that's fully addressable on the internet. You can put your own branding in there and surface your own colors and whatnot, your own images. We're also able to integrate with your existing site. So we can surface like a list page, we can surface a catalog page, but it doesn't have to look like this, but this is the general idea. You've got all of your courses listed here. You can see what's sold out, join the waiting list. We also have some really smart waitlist functionality that's automated. So if you join the waitlist, someone cancels, Arlo will automatically approach the first person on the waitlist, ask them if they want to take the spot. If they say no, they'll go to the next person. They say no, the next person. So instead of you manually managing the waitlist, all you have to do is manage the priority of the waitlist. Really easy. And you can see here, if I go register, it'll take me through to a checkout page where I can go ahead, submit my details, and make a payment. Now we can take card payment. You can add other attendees on this registration form. We can also, take bank transfer, or you can issue an invoice out if you prefer to take payments that way. Now we also have, for your learners, we also have a learner portal. So for the individuals, they can log on to an area where they can see all of their courses that they're running or they've been involved in. They can see any e-learning that they're doing as well that's associated with the course, and we'll touch on the e-learning in a second. And they can see their progress. They can download any certificates. They can self-manage as well if you want them to, so transfer. And they can see what they've done in the past. They can also see any orders, and they can make a payment online too. So completely self-service. Now, Arlo also enables you to run private courses or B2B courses. Now, a lot of our customers will actually run a hybrid model. So they might be primarily B2B and then offer up some remaining seats to the public, or it might be the other way around. But it's exactly the same process. The only difference is you assign a B2B course to a client and you package it up as a whole. But you'll see the UI is very similar. So you don't have to learn a new UI. Communication's in the same place. Everything's in the same place. The only difference is instead of a learner portal, they will actually have a organization portal. So if I go view the org portal, and so as your key contact now, rather than an individual, I can log in and I can see what courses I've got with you. I can click into them. I can see if they've been issued a certificate, if they attended, if they passed, this course. We haven't got any data yet because it hasn't quite happened. And we can see all that information here. And we'll be building out, this is a relatively new feature in Arlo. This is a sort of V1, but we'll be building out more and more functionality here to make it completely self-service as well. Another cool addition to the product is the e-learning content that we're running. So in Arlo, you can, rather than having your LMS sit outside of Arlo, you can bring that inside of our product. So everything sits under one roof. And the value of that is, rather than having to synchronize objects here and there, you can put pre and post work a self-paced work alongside your face-to-face or your live online training to put forward truly blended learning, right? And all these objects can sit in your Arlo platform. And how it works is you can go create new content. You can integrate document to course. So a lot of the training providers we work with, they have documentation, maybe a quiz or a knowledge test or something like that, and then maybe some impact quizzes afterwards. Uh, you can just upload the document here and it will turn it into an interactive course for you. So going from static documents to live living sort of objects that you can edit on the fly, making that super simple. We can also actually generate the course using an AI prompt here as well. So if your e-learning or self-paced content is relatively nascent, you can actually build really interactive content directly from Arlo and create it from scratch. You can also actually bring your own content across. So if you have existing SCORM files, you can add those too. Now, if we jump into here, we can see an existing one. We just go edit. You can see what it looks like. And you're able, this is just a mock-up, right? So it can really look like anything you want. Got the WWE on there. But if you wanted to add more screens, it's easy. You just go add a quiz, generate quiz, and then you can give it some prompts around what we'd like the quiz to say, or you can upload your own one. So really, really simple, but really quite powerful. And the power is here is you can link them all together. So you can have all of your e-learning content be referenced in your instructor-led training elements to have a truly blended experience there. We also have some, in terms of helping you schedule, there's some schedulers here. So we can see, the calendar, what training's upgoing. We can see the presenter scheduler as well. So we can see who's doing what and where. We can actually filter by tag. So show me the presenters that actually meet my criteria. Really easy. And the same for rooms and venues. We can filter by capacity and time zone and things like that. And that will actually show up in the scheduling function. There's a CRM in the system too. So this will keep on top of all of the contacts, all of the organizations that you have in the system. And you can jump in here and you can see a little bit more about what's going on. So if we go into Epic Training Business here, so this is the organization profile. You've got, again, you'll see the UI through the platform is consistent, right? Once you learn one UI, you learn the whole system. Really simple. So you've got all of your toolbars at the top, all the things you can do. So you can add a direct course from here, add an order. Let's say they're calling over the phone, they want to create one rather than going through the website. Easy. You can see all of the contacts in this organization, and you can jump into their record and learn a little bit more about that individual as well. So you can see it all links through, really easy to navigate. You can see at the account level what courses they're involved in, how did that course go? You can click into it. You can see any leads that they may have. So maybe expressions of interest that have come from the organization portal or have come from the website. And then again, you can see any certifications that are ongoing for this organization as well. So when we look at the contact level, it's essentially the same setup, right? Again, the UI is very similar. We're just looking at a context in this scenario. So you can see what courses they're involved in. You can click in here and you can quickly see what happened with their registration. Did they pass? Did they turn up? And so on. Any certifications that are active. And again, you can see all the communication that have gone to this individual. So if they call up saying, hey, I never got my course instructions, you can see actually it is queued or it has been sent across. So that's a CRM. You've also got an area for your presenters too, which you can track in terms of their profile, what training they're doing, and what does their schedule look like. There's an orders engine here, which will help you keep on top of all your financial componentry that you're processing. So these could be, orders from your website that have come in. These could be, more B2B orders, so invoices. We support it all. And we can actually link into your finance system as well, so Xero or Sage, whatever you may be using, to actually go back to that system. We will send the data over there. Your back office will take care of the reconciliation, and then the actual payment status can come back into Arlo. So instead of you having to chase, hey, billing, if they paid this, can we run the training? You actually know exactly who's paid what and what that means for your operations. So rather than having to chase up again, combating that fragmentation of processes we spoke about before. You also have some marketing sections too to help you further grow your business. You've got a leads engine, which can either be, requests for new courses or requests for new capacity, and these will feed into the system and be assigned to the different courses that you may have, unless they're a generic lead, like a contact us, and that will come into this mailbox here. We also have a campaigns engine and a bundles engine too. So the campaigns engine essentially lets you say, hey, show me everyone that's done level one but hasn't done level two, and they did level one within the past 6 months. Show me all those people. And so it'll give you a list of contacts that meet that criteria, and then you can farm that out to a mailer like a MailChimp or something like that to execute on that campaign. And the bundles functionality is more about bundling courses up. So instead of selling them piecemeal one at a time, you can bundle 5 courses together, put a discount on there, and then you can get sort of a meta enrollment all at once. And then you've got your reporting engine. So we make reporting in Arlo super, super easy. So you go into the report here, you can find your field, to search for your field that you want. We support custom fields as well, so you can add whatever fields you like. Set your any and all conditions, how you'd like it to, you can click and drag your fields around, how you'd like it to, render itself, run the report. You can save it as a favorite, and you can also actually put it on a schedule. So, hey, send this report first thing on a Monday, or, every month or something like that. So that's the presentation there. We'll just jump across now. If you do have any further questions about the platform, you'd like to see anything more in depth, there's a QR code you can scan for more of a, one-on-one demo. Fire through any further questions you have. But yeah, thanks very much for your time.